So the topic of my talk today is mind control in JavaScript. A little bit more about me. I mean, I've already been introduced, but I hide photos of myself, so that's like my spirit animal. So yes, I'm a creative developer at the New York Times in London at the moment. So what I focus on is like working on animations and interactions to make our marketing content. So I'm not part of the news section, I'm part of the advertising section. So all the pieces of branded content on the side, I work on trying to make it a bit more interesting for users to read. Before that, I was a software developer for a couple of years at ThoughtWorks in Sydney, so working on quite different stuff. But mainly, I just like to make stuff. I like to build things. I like to try and use technologies in ways that are a bit unusual and a bit more creative. So I usually, like all I do is pretty useless. It goes from like shitty robots to like prototypes of art installations that don't really do anything. But as I spend a lot of my personal time doing it, I like to just have fun with that. So what this talk is going to be about, so I'm going to explain a little bit more about how I got to tinkering with the brain sensor in JavaScript, the tools that I've used, some code samples that I'm going to try to explain. I'm also going to try and do some live demos. I'm saying try because I know that something that I wanted to show is not going to work, so that's great. I already know it's not working. And some resources, which is probably just links. So how it all started. So I actually don't have a background in computer science. I studied marketing because at the time I thought that programming was just for like really, really smart people and I couldn't do it. So I started as a digital producer in an agency, and then I was working with a team of devs and I was really interested in what they were doing. So I wanted to do it myself, but learning like on the side after work is something that I found really difficult because I didn't know at all where to start. So I did like one of these quick bootcamps where you kind of learn to be a programmer in a few months. And while I was looking for my first job, I had these two devices. One of them was Sphero robotic ball. I don't know if you may have heard of it because they released the BB-8 version for Star Wars. So you have this little robot. And I also had Leap Motion, which is a device that you plug in your computer and it recognizes hand gestures. And I saw that both of these devices had JavaScript frameworks available. So what I did is that, well, so this is me in my old apartment in Sydney, and I worked on trying to control the Sphero using my hand movements over the Leap Motion in Node.js. And this was the first thing that I did using hardware, and I was like, well, this is exciting. I can just use JavaScript to control actual things. Like, there was nothing happening in the browser at all. So it doesn't do much. Yes, it like goes left and right. And, but it was still really exciting. It's like just a movement with some code that I wrote, and I can just make stuff move. So as this was my first experiment, I was like, well, what is next? What can I do next? So then I bought a Mayo armband, which is the device that I'm wearing on that photo as well. And what that device does is that it gets some data, like EMG data from your arm, and it also has some kind of pre-built movements, like swapping right or left or something like that. And you can apply that as well to an interface, like on a web page, or to hardware as well, because as the code for the Sphero, to control the Sphero was already done with a Leap Motion, I just had to replace it with using a JavaScript framework for the Mayo as well. So yes, all of this was also in Node. And then again, I was like, well, what's next? So I bought this device, which is a NeuroSky. So it's a brain sensor, but a pretty simple one that has maybe like 4 sensors on it. And it can track levels of attention and meditation. You have access to raw data as well, but like I know nothing about neuroscience and stuff like that, so I couldn't really do anything with the raw data. But at least I played with levels of attention and meditation. And same again, I was also able to control a Sphero and a drone just by trying to focus. The thing is, it's a bit flaky, like it's not working very well, so sometimes so I could have a drone take off by focusing, but if it doesn't detect that I'm coming down, then the drone just doesn't land, and you have to wait until it crashes. So, which happened quite a few times. But yeah, I mean, like, so I was quite excited, but yeah, as there's not that many sensors and the data is not very accurate, then I saw this device that I'm wearing on my face there. And this is called the Emotive Epoch, which is the one that I have here, that has 16 sensors all over your head. So that's a lot more data and a lot more things you can track. But I will talk about that a bit later when I do the demos and stuff. So when I bought this device, I actually didn't check if I had any frameworks in JavaScript available. So I had a bit of issues because the only SDK available were in C++, C#, Java, Python, and Objective-C, which is like stuff that I don't know at all. I mean, I know I have a bit of knowledge of C++ because I played with Arduino and a tiny bit of Python as well, but really not enough to be able to understand the SDK. So that was a problem. And also, there's not many resources available. This device is quite expensive, so I totally understand that there's actually not many people who have it. So the amount of tutorials or anything is kind of like none. But the problem is that I had this device, and I paid quite a lot of money to try stuff with it. So I didn't really want to give up, and I was like, well, let's try and create a JavaScript framework. Let's just try to make something. Let's try to do an interface where if people have this device, then they don't have to go through the whole struggle that I did have to go through, and they can just get all the events in JavaScript and do stuff with it. OK, so the tech stack that I use. So I picked the C++ SDK. And then I used these 3 tools. So you have Node.gip that allows you to compile native add-ons for Node.js. Then you have Node bindings that allow you to then load this native add-on. And NaN, or N-A-N, I actually don't know how you say that. But it's making like native abstractions in Node.js. I'm not exactly sure how to explain these in more detail, so I just try to write one sentence that makes sense. So please don't ask me like super technical questions about these. I just know that I've used them, and it works, and I'm going to try and explain some code samples, which is going to be hard enough. Oh, yeah, OK, code samples. So here's just a hello world example. I am not a pro at C++, so I'm going to try and do this. Like very simple stuff, hopefully. So I have a hello.cc file. And there is method that is just logging hello world. And then I have my method init that is going to export a method called hello that is going to call the first method, I think. And then the last line is actually doing kind of like making it available as a module called module that calls the function init. I try. OK, so I think that's what it does. And I just know it works. So, but I think that's what it does, because then after this, you have your binding file where the target name is module, or yeah, actually, it didn't help that I called my stuff with really shitty names. But so our module, that is called module, then all the code that is going to be bundled is that the source comes from our hello C++ file before. So you run your little node git rebuild. I think there's a task called build, but I just always rebuild. And then it allows you to have in your JavaScript file you require using node bindings, a module called module. And then you have the function hello that we exposed before. And when you do node test.js, you have your hello world console log, yay. So basically, you see that you can go from C++ to JavaScript in 3 steps. Of course, the hello world example is like very simple. So like if you want to do more complex stuff, it's going to be a lot harder. But it's still really cool. Like it does work. And I think there's also like a node add-on examples repo where you can try a few different things, like passing arguments, and see how that works. But for someone who doesn't know C++, that's actually quite exciting to get started with that. OK, code samples of what I did with the emotive. So let me try and explain as well. So the emotive, the SDK, has some functions like emo state create. So you can get, so it checks kind of like the data coming back from the sensor, and it tells you if you have a blink action or thinking of pushing or whatever. So then you have a variable called event. I'm not actually sure how to explain this. But then you have functions like expressive is blink, and you get the state, and it returns 0 if you're not blinking, or it returns 1 if you're blinking. So then you have other stuff like expressive is looking left, expressive is looking right. So once you have one thing working, you can just do the exact same thing with the other states that you can get. And then with our user.isBlinking, we have like that here, and we expose it as a .blink. That's the best I can do. And then, so same with binding.git, we expose our module with the name index, and we just a few different files that are going to be bundled with this. And then in our main.js, we require our module, and I did have a function connect to start all the events. But then we can start, like inside this function, we can have access to blinking, thinking, pushing, pulling, dropping, all the stuff that the epoch gives you. Oh, no, OK. All right, so As I said, I already know that some of the stuff that I wanted to show is not going to work, but I'm going to try and show the rest. All right, so let's start with the Emo Composer. So I'm probably going to have to, do I have to exit? No, oh yeah. Let me just, where did it go? Oh, no, not this. Wait. All right, can I, oh yeah, I just need to exit that. Okay. And Emo Composer. Okay, so when you start building a program for the emotive, you have a software called the Composer that's actually an emulator. So if you can't be bothered to set up the whole headset on your head, because it can take a bit of time, you have access to all this, so it kind of emulates as if the headset was totally well connected, and you can send all the actions that are available on the sensor. So I think that, okay, so if I do, all right, so I either have access to the live events from the sensor if it's on, or I can connect to the Emo Composer. So if I connect to it, then I can say, oh, let's just check if my blinking action is working. Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, wait, let me make it bigger. Ooh, not this. Let me try again. Oh, no, because, yeah, I know. So if I do this push and I give it a little power, oh, there's neutral. But there's push as well. So it's not totally fully working, but I think if I do this, all right. So you can track a few actions. So on the left in the terminal, you have my program in Node, and on the right, you have the kind of like emulated commands. I did have a backup video in case it didn't work, but that's fine. We shouldn't need that. So then, the mental commands. So this is another tool that you can use that is called the control panel. And that works with the live feed from the emotive. So at the moment, it's not connected. So while I try to set it up quickly, I'm going to play this video that's going to loop, so you actually have something to look at while I get ready. And because the thing is with that brain sensor, actually, I'm going to loop it, and I'm going to try and talk at the same time while I try and set it up. So what I was doing here is I was trying to I was training some thoughts about thinking left and pushing and stuff. And you have the feedback in the 3D cube that you see there. You can also test your facial expressions and things like that. And what I'm doing right now is that all of these sensors actually have to have some gel on it, the thing that you use to on your lenses. I don't actually wear lenses, but yeah. So for them to conduct properly, like on your head. Oh, actually, I'm making a mess. But all right. I actually got stopped at the airport because I had that in my bag, and I thought it was because the headset maybe looked weird, but no, it's because this is more than 100 mils. So I was just like, you guys are weird, like seriously. So I actually had to get rid of the bottle I had, and I had to buy another one. But so I hope this one works kind of well as well. But I don't know, I just found that very weird. I was pretty sure I was about to be like, oh, I swear I'm talking at a conference, like it's not weird. But no, not even. Okay, I think I'm good. All right, I'm going to try and put that on at the same time as the microphone. Oh, all right, wait. Where is this? Okay. Let me check if it's... Okay, there's like a USB dongle, and then you turn it on. Turn on. Ooh. Oh, that's all right. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I never have that. Ooh, almost all green. All right, so... That's it, I'm done, bye. All right, so you have mental comments. You're going to have to be like, I don't know if it's going to work because all I'm thinking right now is like, don't let me down, don't let me down. So I'm going to have to be, that's going to be very weird. You're going to have to really look at this because sometimes it takes just like half a second and you can see it's like, oh, it worked. All right. I feel so stupid. I don't even know. Oh, wait, it crashed, that's why. Why did it crash? Let me just turn. Wait, you can see there that it's not connected anymore, and here the timer just like stopped. Let me quit. Let me start over. Hello? And stop this, so I don't need this anymore. Is it on or off? I don't know. I don't know if I turn it off or on because it's behind me. Okay, that's all right, that's pretty good. Let's just try facial expressions. So that's the only avatar you have, like a kind of bald dude. You don't have a woman, so it's like, woo, look, I'm moving my eyes, and I'm not actually smiling, but okay, hey. So yeah, that's why it's like, it doesn't always work, but if I do like this, like, oh, yay, big eyes. Let me try again. Okay, don't crash this time. Of course, okay, well, oh wait, wait, something moved. No, okay, that's the signal. Wait, I'm just gonna try. 10 seconds. Totally letting me down. All right, but I have a video, like, look, it did work. I promise, I swear, I'm not lying. Yeah, look, it did work. Okay, so it doesn't work all the time. But that's fine. So the only problem with this is that these mental comments actually don't work at the moment in JavaScript. And I thought they did because when I use the Emo Composer, I can send the events and I get it in Node.js, so it should be working. Oh, my hair is everywhere. But the thing is that I also check in, so there is something where you can, actually, I'm going to show you a little bit more because, what am I doing? Because the way it works is that you actually select thoughts that you want to train for, and you think about that thing for 8 seconds. So it has to be thoughts of actions, because I guess it's a little bit easier to detect. So here you can see that I trained for thinking about pushing, pulling, and the direction left. And when I'm in my C++ code and I try to run it, I can see that the trained actions actually come back like these ones. Like, they're not the other ones, it's the 3 that I trained for. So I know that the file that is saved with my brain data actually knows that this is the 3 actions I trained for. So somehow in my C++ code afterwards, it's just not actually detecting when I'm doing the actual thought, which is fine. It's probably my C++. It's probably the code that I wrote, because I don't know C++, so there's probably something wrong in there. So I know that this is the thing that is not working. The thoughts in Node is not working, but it is working when I actually try live in the panel. But then the facial expressions should work. They do. Same backup video. But if I try again, and I saw that it crashed again, which is a bit annoying. Let me just relaunch it. OK, so I'm connected. And if I do that, and I connect to the actual engine, and I smile, no, you can't let me down again. No, not that. Oh, I did blink, yes. Yeah, OK, I do have a smile. It's important because it's important for the next demo. And I should have, OK, so that eye direction was working before. For someone, I'm not frowning. OK, see, it's like, it's going a bit crazy. But yeah, all right. So see, what I do get some comments. It's not me, it's the sensor. All right, so you can see that when I was trying it, maybe you can't see, but you could see that eye direction was actually working pretty well. So maybe, I guess it depends on the day. I don't know. I have been refactoring a few days ago, which maybe is the problem as well. You shouldn't do that before a talk, but I did. So that's probably my problem as well. But you can get some stuff, so you can get started there. And then what I worked on is to try and control the drone with the brain sensor. I actually did that this morning, so I haven't tested it, but it should work. I thought let's just do this. So what I have is like a Parrot mini drone that connects to your computer via Bluetooth. And I'm waiting for the little eyes to be green, because now they're red, which means it's not connected yet. And, OK, so I did do this. And I think that if I smile, it should take off. And then it should land. But it's orange. I want green. Come on, give me green. I'm just going to do it. Oh, not that. That. Oh, it's green. OK. OK. Give me the other. OK. Wait. Yes. No? I'm trying. Come on, fucking do it. Hey. I'm smiling, but okay. Why? No? Did I? I'm going to do something. Don't look at this. Don't look at this. Yeah. Don't look, it's very horrible. Blink, smile. Yeah, that should work. Let me try again. Okay, so. Okay. So, I know it is connected. And now. No? Hee. Totally letting me. Oh, wait. No, not left. Smile. How can you just get the word? Okay. Left. No, but. Oh, wait. No, what is all this? Wait. So you can see it works very well. You should totally work with brain sensors. You know what? I'm going to do something. Look again, away. Oh, a dinosaur. Wait. Let me just. This is prototyping code, I'm just saying. Just checking if I get this. Yeah, okay. So I did get blink. And then I should get smile. And smile should do this. Yeah, what kind of makes sense? Ooh, got away. Just give me one thing that works. Isn't it not? Okay. I'm not leaving here until it works. Okay, what about if I do blink then? If you like blink, I'm going to give you blink. All right. Okay. Oh, come on. Smile and blink? No? At the same time? Yay, no. For fuck's sake. All right. Seriously, I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up. You have to. You were working, like, kind of. Now you don't even want to connect to this anymore. No. I feel so alone. Come on. All right. No. Okay. It doesn't even want to connect to the drone anymore. So, yay. Let's just imagine it worked. I'll just post a video later. So yay. In terms of resources, I just put some links of the stuff that I used. Epoch.js at the top is the name of the framework. Obviously, as it works very well, I'm sure you're all going to use it. And at the moment, the version, like I've started refactoring, so please don't even check it. It's really horrible code. And if you want to try and do that kind of stuff, you have the Node add-on examples as well. I'm just going to remove this now. Ooh. All right, and I have a gel over my hair. But yeah, okay, so I just wanted, so special thanks, of course, to WebRebel for having me. You probably won't have me anymore. But these people are very great support for me. I wouldn't be speaking here if it wasn't for them, so I just wanted to little shout out. And thanks a bunch to you guys for being here. Actually, people, not guys. That's it, I'm done. I'm so sorry. Damn it.
So there were a lot of tweets that said this is like the no good tweets. They were like this is the bravest demo. No, bravest demo I've ever seen.
That's a good one.
No, that was amazing. I was on the edge of my seat. That was like I've watched movies that are supposed to be tense that were much less intense than that. So every time I see new tech, I think, how can this be used for emojis? And I'm wondering, how close am I to thinking poop emoji and then having it appear on the screen? Is that possible?
I mean, you can have access to to the raw data as well. I mean, you have to pay $50 per month. But then if you apply some machine learning, I'm sure you can get like, poop emoji, and it's like on the screen.
Okay, so big data, the cloud,
Yeah.
machine learning, brain sensors, poop emoji.
Yeah.
Does that sound like the tech stack I need?
That's all you need.
What got you interested in this?
I think I was always interested in like little gadgets when I was a kid. But then when you start being a programmer and you know that you can actually program for these things, like I think what I don't like is when you buy something and you just have to use what's like the app that other people have built. So you're kind of like constrained to what is given to you. But as a programmer, you can really take it to another level and do whatever you want with it. So like I actually saw an example of people who built an app for the emotive where it could control a wheelchair. And I find that amazing.
Wow.
And one of the other things I wanted to try was to build a kind of an interface where there would be a keyboard that and you could actually write with your eye movements. So I started working on that, and it's not working, and I probably know why. But yeah, that's like you can. Like, I just love the fact that when you know, like sometimes you can just have a crazy idea, and programming kind of gets you there. So
Yeah. That was so. So what do you want to do next with it? You said the eye tracking app, make it work.
I would love to be able to make it work, yeah. I mean, if I even just get the thoughts of, like the actual action thoughts working in JavaScript, then, I mean, in a way, it's kind of useless. What would I do? A game, maybe, but that's not, I mean, like, I would probably move on to the next step. I am really interested in machine learning now, so I wanted to kind of try and, I don't know if you saw the Google little device that uses machine learning to detect micro movements. Project Soli, I think. And I wanted to kind of redo that where you actually have a sensor and you kind of train the sensor to recognize some movements using machine learning. So you feed it some data and you can kind of create your own patterns of movements. I found that super cool.
Huh.
So, yeah.
You mentioned that you would move on kind of after this. And at the beginning of your talk, you mentioned how much you like creative coding and building things that are useless. They're not like business applications or something. How do I frame a question out of this? Do you think that's something that more developers would be helped from doing? That's a bad question. Should more developers do that?
Yes.
Is it beneficial for developers?
Well, I like to do it because it kind of opens the doors to things that you may not have thought about before. So it could be even in the browser, creative coding, now you can do it with like WebVR, WebAR, and 3D and stuff. You can do things that you really, like I wouldn't have known I could have done that until I actually started and I tried. And I was like, oh, what about this and what about this? And then you can really mix a lot of stuff. You can use the emotion with the processing language and do visuals. And you can do art installations with code. And I find that really amazing. I think that probably a lot of people don't do it because they maybe don't know. Maybe they're not interested, but that's another.
Another thing I really liked about your demo was how you could open up the code and just say like, oh, blink, I'll change the smile thing to blink. And that to me just is part of the power of JavaScript, right? If that was all in C++, it would be harder to do that on stage in front of people and worry about messing things up. Do you think that more hardware should have interfaces to JavaScript like this so it's more accessible to people?
Well, more accessible, yes, but then it's not as performant, and like you can see, it's just not working. So.
Are you saying it would work if it was in C++? I haven't heard that argument very much before.
But I mean, I do appreciate the fact that people working on JavaScript frameworks really make it more accessible. Like I probably couldn't have started doing the Emotion and Sphere if I didn't find a framework that I could read. I would have probably been scared if the first thing I wanted to do would have been like C++ in front of me, and I would have been like, you know, like one of the GIFs is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was great. Thank you so much for presenting. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.